Welcome to F101 with Friends, your pit stop for all things Formula One. Whether you're here for the stats, the memes, or just figuring out what a chicane is, we've got you covered. Buckle up, because the fun starts right now. Hi everyone, my name is Nisha, a newbie F1 girlie who is desperate to make more friends so that I can talk about this sport all the time. Each week, a new guest will join me on this journey, from seasoned F1 fans to other curious newcomers, and we will explore what it is about this million-dollar sport at gravity-defying speeds that we just can't stop watching. We'll try to break it all down in a way that's fun, relatable, and hopefully try to explain some of the tech talk. It's been a fun summer break, but Formula One is back, and where better to kick things off than the seaside rollercoaster of Zandvoort. This is Max Verstappen's home turf, so expect seas of orange, festival vibes, and a circuit that's as wild as the North Sea dunes it sits on. Today, we are diving into what makes the Dutch Grand Prix so special. And I'm joined by Mercedes fan and the guest from our Bahrain episode, Sanjay. Welcome back to the show, Sanjay.
Hey Nisha, how are you?
I'm good. I'm just enjoying the break that we had in the summer.
Yeah, I'm so glad we can get back to watching fast cars driving around in circles.
Hey man, you can't say that.
Well, ultimately that was
Circles.
I'll call a spade a spade. I still love it though.
But so usually summer breaks, and I know this is, summer break doesn't really count for a fan if you're based in India because your summer's already gone. Essentially what we just had was rain break.
Yeah, what is summer in India?
Summer in India is when you're waiting for the next season to come. That's what it is. But usually during like summer break for Europe and for our F1 circus, we get a lot of announcements during this time, right? So a lot of like silly season, people moving, a lot of contracts being up for renewal. And of course, last year was the silliest of seasons because there was so many people who lost their contracts or at least changed teams and things like that.
Yeah.
This year, we've had a stellar announcement. I know it's something that we've all been looking forward to. We've been hearing rumors about it, but it was finally confirmed. We do have an 11th team on the grid. That's Cadillac. And Cadillac F1 team just announced both their drivers. Would you like to do the honors?
Well, in one corner we have none other than the veteran Checo Perez, and I'm sure Checo's gotten in. And he sees Christian Horner over there, and he's like, "Oh, what are you doing? What are you doing here?" It's like, "Oh, not you again! Come, give me a break." And do you want the honors of announcing the other driver?
Yes, on the other side, you have the Finnish master of posting his naked bum on every page of Instagram and selling calendars with it, Valtteri Bottas. So, yes, this is an amazing, amazing driver pairing.
Yeah, I mean, both the drivers, I think, together, adding up their ages is about 60 plus. So they're actually like proper veteran drivers, so you can imagine the kind of experience they're going to be getting into the team, which is
but that makes sense, right? Like if you're a fresh new team, an American team who doesn't really have experience in this, wouldn't you want a veteran drivers?
Yeah, and it's at the same time with the 2026 regulations are going to be coming in, so to break in the car, to understand how the different regulations work with the car, and to make those crucial changes. People who really understand feedback and what the car is actually doing and how it's behaving on track. I don't think you could have a better pairing than these two, very strong.
So who do you think will be driver number one? Because essentially, they're both number two drivers.
Yeah, right? I know. It's like the battle of the number two driver. No, but I think consistency-wise, I think Perez would come out better, a little bit ahead of Bottas, according to me, even though I'm like a Mercedes guy and all that stuff, but then hey, definitely Perez, according to me.
Yeah, I mean Perez has historically done really well in an underdog team. Maybe that's just the kind of pressure that he needs. So I think it's really it will be good to see him thrive and hopefully come back to what it was before. I know that this team is not going to be winning championships in the next couple of years, right?
Yeah.
But for them to fight for points and make up some places on the grid, I think it'll be very interesting to see.
Yeah, I can't wait.
And
And so for the longest time, they're saying we cannot accommodate an 11th team because
yes,
there's just no place on the grid. But
right.
lo and behold, they have made place for it. It's going to be
Yeah.
it's going to be tight. We're talking about 22 cars on the grid, so
Yes.
you can just imagine how qualies are going to be as well. It's just going to be
Oof.
they're going to be fighting for space. You can imagine how Monaco is going to be like.
Oh my God. Let's.
Like 22 cars. By the way, by the time they're halfway and they're already going to start lapping like the last
That is
cars.
true.
So it's going to
Oh
be
my!
they're
I
going to be fighting.
completely forgot about Monaco because I mean it is a forgettable race. Like it's just the I honestly only watch quali when I when it's the Monaco race. I put it on and I do all kinds of chores because I know nothing is gonna happen.
Yeah.
I just wait for Crofty to be like, "Oh my God, is he? Oh, is something happening?" No, they were just trying to like do some hype around. But yeah, with 22 cars in Monaco, it's gonna be
That's
a tough one. Yes. And for listeners who probably are not sure who Bottas is or Checo is, because we haven't mentioned them at all this entire season. They haven't been racing this season. They are two drivers who were instrumental in, like, Checo was instrumental in helping Max win his championship. Bottas was the key to helping Lewis win his championship. So they are great. They've been really great defensive drivers, and at the same time they bring their own like wealth of experience and fighting spirit. So yes, I'm very excited to see how this plays out.
likewise.
So yes, so we are moving to Zandvoort. That is the first race after the summer break. And Zandvoort is nestled right by the sand dunes on the Dutch coastline, which means the surface can get dusty and the grip levels are tricky. So unlike some of our modern wide circuits, Zandvoort feels very old school because there's a lot of narrow racing lines, big elevation changes, and there's very little margin for error. The drivers love it because it's fast and it's flowing, but the overtaking here is notoriously tough, which means Saturday qualifying is going to be absolutely crucial. Some quick facts about this race. The Dutch GP has been around from the 1950 through to 1985, came back in 2021. Drivers will do 72 laps around this 4.259 kilometer circuit, which has 14 corners and 2 DRS zones. The current lap record is a 1:11.097, held by Lewis Hamilton in 2021.
Yeah, Zandvoort isn't a typical modern circuit. In fact, I wouldn't even call it a modern circuit. It's built into the sand dunes of the Dutch coast, and because of
Yeah.
this, winds play a huge role. It blows sand onto it, so then grip conditions on the track can change through the course of the race. It keeps the drivers on edge. They have to constantly keep pay attention to what the traction conditions are like, and
Yep.
it's rare to have a natural landscape affecting a race like this, which is what makes it special. That's how a racetrack should actually be. It ebbs and flows through the actual conditions of the terrain or the topography.
And it's so funny, I'm just realizing now that the last episode that we did together was the Bahrain episode, which also has this dust problem of like all the sand coming into the track, and Zandvoort has that as well.
Yeah.
Maybe it's you.
Oh, baby.
But one thing I love about this track is that it is one of only 2 tracks which has banked corners. It's a banking on both turn 3 and turn 14, which is pushing the limits of cornering grip in high-speed F1 cars. Hopefully, we will get to see the gyro cam in full blast because it's honestly amazing to see these cars bend and drive almost perpendicular to the ground. Zandvoort also boasts the shortest pit lane of the F1 season. It's just 235 meters. So expect to see a lot of quick strategy shifts and races being decided by pit stops.
Yeah, Dutch fans, this is the Dutch Grand Prix, and they are known as the Orange Army, and they
Yep.
completely take over Zandvoort. The grandstands
Yes.
and dunes are, seas of bright orange, and the atmosphere is closer to like a football match than a car race. You know how you go to watch a Liverpool match, and you see those die-hard, crazy football fans with like their red
Correct.
flares and all that stuff. Very, very
Yes.
intimidating stuff. But similar to that, they have orange flares over here. Even though it's
Mm-hmm.
they are asked by race officials to not do it for safety reasons. Obviously, you don't want smoke just leaking onto the track and creating
Mm-hmm.
like vision distortions or whatever.
Visibilities.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. Um, but they do it anyway. So, see,
Mm-hmm.
fans are going to be fans, and as soon as Verstappen hits the track, especially in qualifying,
Yeah.
when of course, when he wins, uh, you can just imagine the uproar over there. It's chaotic, and
Yes.
you don't. I mean, outside of the Tifosi showing their love for Formula One, because it's been
Yes.
entrenched with them, for
Mm-hmm.
decades together.
Mm-hmm.
Nowhere else will you see it, apart from this place, because
Yeah.
they love Max, and I think it is after Max came in that they brought the circuit back onto
Mm-hmm.
the F1 roster. So yeah, hits in the heart.
Yeah. Yes, I can understand. Hits in your lungs also with all of that smoke. The Dutch GP honestly feels like a party, which makes sense. They have DJs and fireworks. There's this big beach festival energy and just non-stop crowd engagement. Even the non-F1 fans get swept up in this hype. It's why this race stands out. You're right. Compared to all of the traditional Grand Prix weekends, it's not like, oh, everyone's politely standing in the stands, just taking a look at, wow, wonderful, what race. No, you're
Uh,
in the middle of a giant celebration.
yeah, yeah. Let's move. Let's. Why don't we talk about the details of the track?
Yes. What do you think the track looks like? Like as a if you just look at it.
Well, I've drawn the track out over here for me, and well, it kind of looks like a big bold capital J, and that
Yes.
is Jandvoort. So the race would kick off right at a little serif on the top of the line of the J, and that's
Yes.
turn one,
Yes.
which is where you see a lot of the overtaking. From there, you
Mm-hmm.
drop down the long descender of the J, sweep through those
Mm-hmm.
fast flowing bends, and just like the J curves back up, the track
Mm-hmm.
hooks through its tight middle sector and climbs again, twisting left and right in quick succession before swinging to the big banked last corner.
I love that. By the way, I love that name, Jandwood, because it's a J. But yeah, so imagine you've drawn that letter J on paper, down the line, hook the curve, flick back up. Basically, you've traced a lap of Zandvoort. So let's do this sector by sector.
All right, let's do it.
Sector 1 is turns 1 to 6. We kick things off at turn 1, which is Tarzanbocht. This is the star of Zandvoort. It's a heavy braking zone after the main straight and, like Sanjay said, the best overtaking spot. So the drivers will slam the brakes late here, and the corner has a very steep banking of about 18 degrees, so cars can take multiple lines through it. The name. Okay, this is a very interesting story. So, local legend says that there was a man nicknamed Tarzan who lived near the circuit, and he had his like vegetable garden or something over there, which was part of the circuit. And when it was being built, he demanded that that corner be named after him in exchange for giving up his land.
Wow.
So now it's called Tarzanbocht. Then comes turn 2, which is Gerlachbocht. It is a short kink to the right, medium speed, and it's named after a Dutch racing driver, William Gerlach, who tragically lost his life in a race. You have turn 3, which is, this is so hard to do. Hugenholzbocht. I'm hoping I'm not like destroying Dutch. This is an iconic turn. It's a super tight left hander with a steep NASCAR style banking that lets drivers hug the inside or swing wide and carry speed. It's named after Hans Hugenholz, the first director of Zandvoort. From there, you sweep into turns 4, 5, and 6. It's a series of flowing right handers. They don't all have separate names, but they're all about rhythm and maintaining that medium speed, throttle control, and setting up momentum for the roller coaster part of the lap.
Sweet. So, sector two, that's turn 7 to 10. This is where the track really earns its reputation as an old school flowing circuit. So, turn 7, it's called Shaflack, is one of the fastest, scariest corners in F1. Drivers take it almost flat out, and the elevation drops away under them. So, if you get the entry wrong, you're in the gravel, and the name comes from that local dune area. Uh, Going into turn 8, Mastersbocht is a medium speed right. It was renamed in honor of Ben Pont Jr., a Dutch driver nicknamed De Master. In fact, it
Yes.
used to be called Marlboro Corner, but I'm, assuming that didn't go down very well after they banned tobacco advertising.
Yes, and to know more about the PR and marketing stunts of this sport, just listen to the previous episode with PR pro Laura.
Turn 9, Box 9. Yep, it's literally called just Turn 9. I like
Yes.
that. I like that. It used to be Renault Corner. Nothing fancy here. It's technical, slow speed right hander where braking discipline matters. So after that, turn 10, box 10, another simple name, but it's a tricky left where traction out of the corner is key. Together, 9 and 10 form a rhythm section where setup balance really, really shows.
Sector 3, the final sector which covers turns 11 to 14, is short but spectacular. Turn 11 is Hans Ernst Bocht, a sharp right left chicane renamed after the former Zandvoort circuit director. This is a slow section where late braking and curbs test the suspension. Out of there, you accelerate into turn 12, which is a fast right kink. Nothing too dramatic. It sets up the approach to the final banked monster. Turn 13, Kumho Bocht. It's named after the tire sponsor, Kumho. It's a sweeping right that funnels you towards the main event. Oh God, I'm going to die trying to pronounce this name. Turn 14, it's the Arie Luyendyk Bocht. Please, Dutch fans, do not come after me. It's named after the Dutch Indy 500 legend. This corner is famous for its massive banking and it feels like Daytona in Europe. So the drivers just slingshot through it flat out, and it's what makes Zandvoort's final straight so exciting. You can run multiple lines, set up overtakes, and it's visually stunning, right?
Yeah.
So, Sanjay, now that we've heard about the entire track, what are your podium predictions?
Yeah, so Zandvoort, it's very akin to something like a street circuit because it's so narrow. I mean, you know what? It's not that it's narrow. It's just that it was for a different period where you did not have F1
Right.
cars that are like these beefed up versions on steroids like they are today. So it's not the track's fault. I feel bad for it. But yeah, according to me, the person who takes pole has the most chance to actually, grab that first place. So going by pace, I would say Norris or Piastri. So I would actually say Norris because I think he's raced here a couple more times than Piastri. So experience does play a role over here, not only for
True.
the drivers but even for the people back at the pits. Uh, and I read the weather reports. Did you, by any chance, have a look at the weather reports?
I haven't actually. I thought it was
It's
absolutely normal sunny days. No?
So it's saying that it's going to be raining through the weekend.
You know,
Whenever rain comes into the thing, you just know how it gets. Like all your
yes.
predictions just goes out the window because not only are you gonna have change in traction conditions, change in tires. Are you going to go to intermediates? Are you going to go to wets? Is the track drying up? Should we switch back to dry tires? Is there going to be a safety car? Is
Yep.
somebody going to spin out? So I would say it would go to Norris, but it's anyone's race if it starts raining actually.
That's true. If it starts raining, I would not dismiss Verstappen. I mean, he's powered by those orange flares in the in the stands,
True,
and you never know, right? Max in the
true.
rain is usually something else.
Like the last race, he at turn one he took from second
Yes.
he came to first, and I think lap 18 after he took it he just lost that pace advantage and Norris just
Yeah.
20 seconds
I
out,
mean,
20 seconds ahead of him.
yeah, there's no denying that the McLaren is a brilliant car, right? And Max is like, it doesn't matter how amazing his racecraft is. If your car is a cardboard box, it is not going to go faster than a rocket ship.
That's true. That's true. But yeah, very 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 high intensity race, at least from the driver's perspective. When you are sitting in the cockpit and you're looking
Yeah.
at the helmet cam or whatever, the cockpit cam, it is so fast, and there's so much
It
of
is.
elevation change, and you're literally being shunted from one part of the car
Yes.
to the other, and it's a driver's circuit. They love driving over
Hmm.
here. Sure, maybe not like visually, because there are not many position changes or something like that, but from a driver's
Right.
perspective, oh my god, what a roller coaster.
But honestly, like I think last year was the first time they put that gyro cam on Kevin Magnussen's car.
Hmm.
And oh my god, it was exactly what a driver would see, right? You
Yeah.
genuinely feel like you're on that roller coaster. You can see your car like bending on those banked corners. I really hope they bring those back because it was super super
Speaking of
super exciting for
speaking
us
of
to watch.
which, when so you have the F1 TV subscription, right?
I do.
So,
Yes.
can you choose the gyrocam when you are watching the race by any chance?
No, you can't. It
Okay.
depends on them to broadcast it. Like you can pick an onboard for one of the
Yeah,
drivers,
yeah.
but it depends on, even the onboard is not standard. Like you don't always get to see what's in front of you. Sometimes they'll just change it and they'll show you who is behind you, which makes no sense because okay, here's the thing. You can do multi-screen in F1 TV now,
Yeah,
right?
yeah.
So sometimes when I see that there's a race going, like a fight, like a battle in between,
Mm.
I want to keep watching the main race and I keep that on one side and I put the onboards of the two people who are battling.
Yeah.
So I have the visual of the person in front of, who is in front, and the person behind. But sometimes they'll do a stupid thing and they'll like swap the cameras to a rear cam. So now, if it's like Max versus Piastri and Max is behind, I have two visuals of just Max,
Oh, just Max,
because
understood. Yeah.
which doesn't make
So
sense.
an onboard cam
But
doesn't necessarily mean the front facing
yeah,
cam. It can be any of the cams
exactly.
on the car.
Yes,
Okay,
yes.
okay, okay,
So
okay.
that's the last time in the race broadcast itself, they had the gyrocam. So it was honestly, it was like the last bit of the F1 movie, if anyone has seen it. The way Brad Pitt moves through the track.
Mm-hmm.
Yes, I know that's Abu Dhabi, but still, it looks that visually like stunning.
Yeah,
So let's bring that back. Let's bring that back, please.
nice.
So let's talk a little bit about the history of the Dutch GP, right? So racing in Zandvoort actually goes back to the 1930s, when you had small street races that wound through the town. But the story of the modern circuit really begins during World War II. When the Germans invaded, they built a long straight road through the dunes so that they could hold victory parades. After the war, those very same roads were given a new purpose. They were widened and linked together to form the foundation of a racing track. And here is where a little myth busting comes in. For years, people have said that the layout was the work of John Hugenholz, the famous Dutch track designer. But in truth, it was drawn up by the officials from the Royal Dutch Motorcycle Association.
Wow,
John Hugenholz was actually just the first director of Zandvoort.
very interesting. Through the 60s and 70s, Zandvoort was a real driver's track. Jim Clark dominated there. Jackie Stewart and James Hunt added to its legend. Niki Lauda seals his reputation in the dunes. That's so cool, right? It's
Yes,
going to be
so
belting
much
it out in the
history.
dunes. For old school fans, Zandvoort had everything: danger, character, and a crowd that absolutely lived for it. There's a very famous clip from 1979 where Gilles Villeneuve is driving his Ferrari. He spins out, he backs up the Ferrari onto the track, and his rear left tire is completely shredded. And he drives that thing all the way back to the pits, literally on three wheels, and his car is literally seesawing, leaving sparks all over the place.
Oh my god.
And I cannot believe that we actually have that still in somewhere in YouTube's archives, and probably something you can't see today, because you'd just be asked to politely, "Hey,
Yeah, wait on the side.
park the car. You're gonna screw it up really badly." And yeah, yes, and then in 1985, the world had changed. Formula One was moving towards modern, more safer facilities. Of course, Zandvoort simply couldn't keep up. Money was
Yep.
tight, and safety upgrades were impossible. That year, Lauda won his final Grand Prix, and after that, Dutch GP disappeared into F1's archives for decades. And then it became one of those lost classics, and race fans would sigh about it, wondering if it would ever return. Much like Imola as well, which returned
Yes.
during COVID times. Even that's like a very very old school circuit.
Yeah. That's kind of, it was a combination of COVID and of course the Max
Mm,
Verstappen factor, which brought Zandvoort back to the calendar.
that's crazy.
And if you're new to F1, here's all you need to know. Max is Netherlands superstar, the first Dutch world champion, and the reason the phrase Orange Army exists in F1. His fans travel everywhere. Spa in Belgium, Sea of Orange. Austria feels like Dutch home race. Germany, yes, they took over there as well. And when Formula One saw this wave of passion, it became obvious. Zandvoort had to come back.
And in 2021,
Mm-hmm.
36 years later, the Dutch Grand Prix
Yes.
returned. And it wasn't just a quiet re-entry, it was like an
Mm-hmm.
explosion of, of course, they had to bring the track up to spec for modern standards,
Yes.
right? Um, and of course, along with that, a brand new legion of Dutch fans.
Mm-hmm.
So Verstappen won at home, the grandstand shook, and images of like orange smoke in the air. Became iconic. It's like, oh my God,
Yes.
where are we? Are we at a Grand Prix? Yeah.
Yeah.
Every year since, he's delivered excitement, making Zanwood his fortress. But here's the kicker: Zanwood's place in the calendar isn't permanent right now,
Yeah.
and the contract ends in 2026. So every lap here feels precious. Like we're watching the party that we know might not last forever. There's so many more circuits
Mm-hmm.
in the track that are vying for that position. Every single
Yep.
circuit on the track is it's very, very precious to have that position on the roster. So yeah, we don't know how long Zanwood's going to be there. Let's enjoy it.
Yeah. I'm not sure if it may come. Like, I don't think Imola's coming back. We know Barcelona is leaving in like as soon as Madrid comes through. This Zandvoort may not have its place on the calendar, but we will get Thailand in
Yeah,
2028,
yeah,
which is
baby,
very exciting.
very exciting.
And I'm sure the Mad Ring also might be something new. It's also a street circuit with the new regs. Maybe that track will do well as well. We never know.
Yeah,
But this uncertainty is exactly what makes the Dutch Grand Prix so special. It's not just about racing, it's about the fans who willed it back into existence. It's the national pride that fuels it, right? And it's like this seaside circuit that went from a forgotten relic to a modern festival. The funny thing about Zandvoort is that when we talk about the best moments of racing here, they're either really, really old or super, super recent because of the gap in between, like 36 years of no racing,
yeah.
right? The 1970s were where Zandvoort really came alive. So Jackie Stewart had mastered the circuit for 4 wins, and in 1975, James Hunt took his very first Formula One victory here. That day, Hunt pushed his Hesketh car to the absolute limit, at one point, even going airborne over the bumps. That win was the start of Hunt's journey to becoming a world champion. It happened right there.
Wow. And Hunt wasn't the only one flying in 1979.
Yes.
Oh yeah, okay, back here, 1979, Gilles Villeneuve and Ferrari legend also had one of those "did that just happen" moments at Zandvoort. He went
Yes.
fully airborne over a curb, landed it, and just kept going. So and if as if nothing happened, it showed both the danger of this fast-flowing circuit and the sheer bravery of the drivers of that era.
Oh,
Actually,
yeah. Those drivers, okay, so there was this one recently. I saw this like round table. Maybe they shot it after Goodwood. It's just a bunch of like these old 70s champions sitting together with, I think, Mika Hakkinen,
yeah,
and they're just talking about like the cars of today, the cars of that day. And even Mika Hakkinen is looking at some of these like Alan Prost and stuff and saying, I would not sit in your car because of how dangerous it was.
yeah,
And you can actually see that F1 in those days, it was like safety is optional.
yeah.
Drive, we'll see.
Balls is a must. Safety.
Yes. Yes, exactly. But of course, that does tend to lead to some tragedies, and Zandvoort has seen its fair share of tragedies.
Yeah.
In 1970s, Piers Courage lost his life when his car caught fire after a crash. And in 1973, Roger Williamson was killed in an accident when a fellow driver, David Purley, tried desperately to save him. And these moments left scars on the sport and are a part of why Zandvoort is remembered as both thrilling and unforgiving.
There were brighter chapters too. course. And in 1985, Niki Lauda took his final Formula One victory here. His swan song before retiring for good. That made Zandvoort's disappearance from the calendar bittersweet because F1 left the Netherlands right after that.
Yes. And then, of course, came back. In 2021, Zandvoort roared back with Max Verstappen winning in front of his home fans. The sea of orange, the chants, the flares. It was this giant festival for Max Verstappen. Just lots of do Max Verstappen going around. Verstappen, of course, repeated the feat in 2022 and 23. And 2024 is, of course, a completely different story.
So what happened in 2024, Nisha?
So let's start with the big battle. Lando Norris. What a weekend. He put it on pole. He lost the lead to Max at turn 1 but stayed calm, picked his moment and snatched it back on lap 18. From there, he absolutely dominated. Pulled away, set the fastest lap and won by nearly 23 seconds. It was the kind of win that makes you think, okay, this guy is a championship contender. I think Zandvoort was where the tides were shifting in 2024, that they suddenly looked at the McLaren and thought, oh, are these guys going to win? So yeah, his teammate Oscar Piastri quietly had a strong race as well. Kept it tidy in 4th, backing up McLaren's serious pace and giving them huge points in the Constructors' Championship.
For once, the home hero didn't get his fairy tale.
Yes.
And Max Verstappen took lead early, but he just couldn't hold off Norris. The McLaren was just simply faster car, had more pace, and Max had no answers for it. Still, second place keeps him right in the title fight, and Sergio Perez had a more anonymous race. 6th was the best he could do. Decent points, but nowhere near Max or the McLarens.
It was a solid day for the Scuderia, which is a rare thing that we say on this podcast. Charles Leclerc started 6th but drove smart, and he picked his way through and grabbed the final podium spot in 3rd. Carlos Sainz also looked sharp, holding on to 5th and bringing home a double points finish. Nothing flashy, but Ferrari needed a consistent haul and they got it.
And here we go. Mixed bag for Mercedes. Lewis Hamilton had a sluggish start and never really recovered, ending up in 7th. George Russell went for a late tire change to try both the fastest lap but couldn't make much headway. That was a very, very weird pit stop to actually see happening. We really know why he did it exactly. Finishing just behind Lewis in 8th. Both cars in the points, yes, but Mercedes still looked a step off the top 3 teams.
Yeah, that was the time where George would try, because I think it was in his mind that he's a second driver. So he would try like any random plan, right, to see how far he could get. I guess you don't really lose anything in that situation. You've tried something. If it didn't work, it didn't work. But when it works, you're basically on the podium, which is what he's been doing all year this year.
Yeah, very, very impressive.
Fernando Alonso was back in the points with 9th. He had to work for it, but experience always pays. Lance Stroll in the other Aston Martin couldn't quite match him, ending up outside the top 10, which is another reminder of Aston's dip in form compared to the early 2023 highs. Man, I wonder if we'll ever get to see that again, like seeing Alonso on the podium. I want that back.
Yeah.
He was so happy.
Yeah, no, and the fire has not died or even like diminished in him.
Sure.
You know, he's still out there, like sending it and giving it his all.
Yes.
You know,
oh my God! Which race was that? I think like the last race itself. Just watching him absolutely send it on Gabriel Bortoleto, a rookie, and a rookie that he manages. He was like, I don't care. You leave all that at home. On track, I am here to kill you. Bye.
Finally, something positive. Pierre Gasly nicked the last point in 10th. A small reward, but Alpine will take it. Esteban Ocon had less luck finishing outside the points, but the car looked a touch more competitive at Zandvoort.
The midfield scrap was fierce, but Haas, Williams, Kick Sauber, and Visa Cash App Racing Bulls all went home empty-handed. No disasters, no heroics, just the reality of fighting at the back on a downforce track like this. But let's talk 2025. So as we roll into the race weekend at Zandvoort, the prep is all about finding balance, literally. This track may be short, but it's packed with tight, twisty corners and a steep banking that demands precision. And because overtaking is so tough here, qualifying almost feels like the main event. Coming off the summer break with some upgrades, the teams will load up on a lot of high downforce aero packages, tuning the suspension for maximum grip without bouncing the cars off those bank corners. Get the balance wrong, and you're either sliding wide or struggling for speed.
Tires will also play a huge role. Pirelli is going to be, most probably will be bringing the C2, C3, and C4 compounds. But again,
Yep.
we don't know how the weather is going to act. So that's also
Yes.
going to be contingency. A middle range meant to survive the constant cornering stress. I expect most teams to run a two-stop strategy. Also looking at you, Mr. Lando Norris. Juggling grip against tire wear while hunting for clean pit windows. At a circuit where overtaking is rare, a fast, well-timed stop can be more valuable than a bold move on track. We're talking about half a second gain just by nailing it in the pit lane.
Yes. And finally, there's the detail work, the little things that add up at a place like this. Zandvoort is unforgiving, so teams tend to focus less on chasing wild lap times and more on avoiding mistakes. So, clean pit entries, traffic management in qualifying, maximizing every corner exit can make or break a weekend. That's why local knowledge and adaptability are key. The sand from the dunes blows onto the track, grip levels shift session by session. Those who adapt quickest will be the ones to shine, which is why you never dismiss Max Verstappen.
Yeah, that's true. That is true.
So I know we normally do an F1 jargon section, but I want to flip it a little bit this week and talk about something less technical, but still as important in F1, and that's workplace culture. So, Sanjay, have you worked with any like motorsports? Have you worked in the motorsports?
Well, yeah, I mean, we've been around a lot of motorsport teams in the rally and the track side of it, around go-karting as well, actually. And it's very, very disciplined, or at least it needs to be. And you see certain outfits. For example, Mahindra had they were running a rally works team, and you can see the difference between how a works team operates and how
Yeah.
a privateer team operates. The works team, they have, of course, the financial backing from the company, and because of that they have the tools, the tents, the uniforms, the uniformity, and the color codes and all that stuff. This looks like a very, very professional setup. But also the way they would operate when a car used to come in to have some kind of service happening between different rally stages, and everybody would not get into each other's way because everybody knew where they needed to be, what they needed to work on. And it's not like, hey, give me the 10 millimeter, or hey dude, give me the monkey wrench or something like that. Everybody knew what tools was required for the job, and they would get down to it. So I mean, that's how a professional team would operate. And then of
Yes.
course you have you have the rest of the crew, where you'll be like, hey macha, give me this, hey macha, give me that. So bro, it's like, like even the drivers would have a spread, of like bananas and like juice boxes and all that stuff. And then you have the privateers who are just basically winging it. Like they themselves would literally be working on the cars itself. um but yeah, I mean, of course, nothing like how Formula One crew would,
Sure.
would actually
Yeah.
operate. Nothing like it, or even how a WRC crew would operate, of course. But
But it's
yeah, nothing to take away from it though.
Yeah, of course. I mean, I'm sure at the Formula One level, okay, it's the pinnacle of motorsports, so everyone has to behave and their best, whatever, you have the best behavior. But you're right, it does make a huge difference to your race itself when you have a team that knows what it's doing and is sincere to their craft, right? And the idea for this section actually came to me when I saw this like huge Reddit thread about working for an F1 team and how stressful it can be. But essentially, if you don't love this job and obsess over the sport, being in an F1 team can be kind of a nightmare. And the kind of workplace culture that teams build has a lasting impact on the drivers as well.
Take McLaren right now, which I honestly think has one of the most positive team culture. You have Zach Brown, who has been instrumental in selling the McLaren dream to many, many sponsors, bringing the required investments to build an incredible car. And then Lando Norris talks about how the vibe in the garage has shifted since Andrea Stella has become team principal. Calmer, more collaborative, less finger pointing. And you see the results. The team is sharper, Lando looks more comfortable. Oscar Piastri has grown into a championship leader, of course, or rather being molded to become this, it's all powerful race driver / championship contender.
The thing is, we've spoken about this multiple times in like various other episodes. Even though these two drivers are racing for the championship, they have such a great like work. Maybe behind the scenes they are absolutely like throwing spanners at each other. But on track and through strategy, there's no preference. And it's genuinely like, let's go racing, boys. And if anyone makes a mistake, you own up to it immediately. It's great work culture. On the flip side, we've seen what happens when there is toxicity, whether it's being hyper competitive, ruthless to the point of excusing problematic behavior. Looking at you, Red Bull, or, just like the micromanaging, hierarchical nature at Ferrari, right? When you have either of these things, it seems to lead to a cursed seat and a disgruntled champion.
Yeah, micromanaging Max. Like sometimes you see the Ferrari drivers itself doing a little bit of managing as well while driving at 300 kilometers an hour. You mean like, give me these tires, I am coming into box now. Are you ready?
Yeah. Yes. Oh, God. And they won't be ready.
Yeah. It's a familiar scene at Ferrari, to be honest.
Yeah.
Nobody wants to make an executive decision because it's their head on the block. As Mattia Binotto found out. I really thought things would change for the new team principal, Fred. But even he almost lost his job this year. Just imagine the amount of pressure being put on these guys. Oh my God. The other thing that gets me is that they don't have the motivation to be better. They think that they're Ferrari, and therefore they live on with a legacy, and they're riding on their legacy, and so much so that Mr. Lewis Hamilton or Sir Lewis Hamilton is like, I want to end I want Ferrari to be a part of my career.
Yeah, exactly.
The video with Lewis coming to the garage at 6 a.m. and seeing nobody. It's 7-time world champion. He has that kind of discipline, which is how he has gotten this far. And he's commenting on your lack of work ethic. The team needs to change. The last time a world champion forced the team to work, Ferrari had their longest win streak.
Yes, thank you, Michael Schumacher, for bringing in that German precision in working.
Yeah.
Poor Sebastian Vettel tried to do it in Ferrari as well, but just not German enough. But it's not a great scene out at Red Bull either, right? After Christian Horner was fired, after his 20-year stint of bringing up this team, the new team principal, Laurent Mekies, he found out that the team never gave new parts to the second driver until Max had all of his parts, which meant that the second seat is always doomed. The other driver always got bad parts, which leads to crashes, which leads to worse parts, and the cycle just continues. So all of the comments that the F1 community made on Sergio Perez, right, slowly just disintegrating into what he was, it's really not his fault. Which is probably why Christian Horner wanted to keep him for so long, because he knew it's not Checo's fault that he's like performing so badly.
Yeah.
And what happens at Red Bull doesn't stay at Red Bull because it transfers on to VCARB, as Liam found out. That poor boy wasn't allowed to showcase his talent for more than 2 races. 2 races! That's crazy.
It's nothing.
In a car that no one has been able to drive
historically. For a rookie.
Yes, for a rookie. And then he goes to VCARB, and then under Laurent's careful leadership, he has finally managed to build himself back up to become a real contender for the team.
You can just imagine how much they had to do to build that poor guy's morale back up.
Right? Oh my God.
Yeah.
I mean, I know that when he came in initially, he was like, oh, I don't want to make friends. I'm just here to win. And then everyone's like, okay, drive your car then. But
yeah, that attitude is only going to get you that far.
Yeah, the moment he goes to Visa Cash App, becomes friends with Isaac Hadjar, makes these cute social media content, and suddenly he's doing really well bringing in points. Maybe it's not a bad idea to make friends, Liam, just saying.
We see similar care and empathy in James Vowles at Williams. He really will go to war for his drivers, and
Yep.
his pep talks are totally inspiring. Why wouldn't you want to go there if you're a midfield contender?
Yep.
The other option, of course, is Sauber, run by the Ferrari reject, Matteo Binotto. Never to be seen again, but only to actually be next door at
Yes.
friendly neighbor Sauber. And Red Bull's pit stop guru, Jonathan Wheatley. Two people who came from a toxic culture, who have
Yes.
worked together to build something healthy and fairly successful. How else would you get a young gun Brazilian like Bortoleto to become good friends with a straight shooting German like Nico Hülkenberg?
Yes, that friendship has honestly been so nice to watch, and they both okay. I understand that more investment has come in and the team is doing better and all of that stuff, but for them to work together as a team, I can't remember which race it was, but basically Bortoleto finished in P6, and that happened because Hulkenberg, he knew that he was losing out on some this thing. He held up a lot of people behind to give Gabby enough time to do a pit stop with no one bothering him. Why would you do that for your teammate if you don't have a good relationship within the team itself, right?
Absolutely.
Could you imagine, could you imagine if, say, Yuki Tsunoda, okay, it's not gonna happen, but Yuki was somewhere in front and Max was somewhere behind, and they tell Max, could you hold off the other people so Yuki can get an advantage? Are you kidding me? Max will switch off the radio. I'm like, I'll manage the whole race myself.
Yeah. She's like, "Don't. I'll only change the tires. It's okay.
Yeah.
I don't want any of you or your shitty suggestions."
Yeah. But as a contrast, Alpine's internal scene feels more like a soap opera than working for an F1 team right now. They had their team principal, Oliver Oakes, who resigned mid-season, leaving Flavio Briatore, the controversial figure, to step into leadership as an executive advisor, not team principal, because he does not hold a required F1 license. And then, of course, around the same time, Alpine made waves by swapping their rookie Jack Doohan for another rookie, Franco Colapinto, a change that came with sponsorship backing and the expectations of thousands of Argentinian fans, especially ahead of races like Mexico. This constant pressure cooker atmosphere. Be fast, don't crash, score points. And just like this revolving door approach to the second seat has definitely thrown both Doohan and Colapinto off balance. Until, of course, Colapinto's contract finally became official in the summer break. Thank God, Alpine was like, you know what? We'll keep you around for the year because we need the money because we destroyed all the cars.
So, I mean, good culture means trust. It means a driver can give feedback without worrying about blame. Engineers can take risks without fear, and everybody pulls in the same direction. In a sport
Yes.
where margins are literally thousands of a second, that kind of environment makes a difference between a podium and a retirement. And kudos to McLaren for nailing it so far this year.
Absolutely. And also, this other thing that I read on that Reddit thread was on people who work for these F1 teams, right? If you're not part of the traveling circus that goes to these various countries, you're basically treated like back office team, even though you might be the one who is building out strategy and plans and things like that. And because most of these teams are based in the UK, you get paid lesser than an engineer in UK, but it's just that, oh, you work for an F1 team. Also, you can kiss your weekends goodbye, essentially.
Yeah.
Right? Because you have to work. And it's not like you get compensatory offs or something. You have to work on the weekend and you have to work during the day.
Yeah.
Like during the week. So essentially, work. That's it.
You can tell, like, the people who are actually working in F1, they want to be there.
Exactly.
You know, they're
Exactly.
passionate about it, and they're not treating work like work. They're treating work as part of exploring their passion.
Yes. This Reddit thread, of course, was talking about it was a wife talking about her husband who works for one of the F1 teams, and she was saying that essentially, like, they have a group of all the spouses who meet up very often, and they call themselves the F1 widows because they don't get to see their partners at all. But but yeah, essentially, like, when you know it's so much of your time and life that you dedicate to this sport, if your team has just awful culture, it's going to mean that, it's like it's going to translate into the way that everyone performs on the team as well.
100%. I agree.
But that is a wrap on the Dutch Grand Prix. We do need to discuss one last thing. I know you've already mentioned your prediction for the 2025 season, but the summer break has happened. A lot of changes have happened. What do you think is, what would be your prediction for the remainder of the 2025 season?
So a little more than halfway in, and I know I said
Yeah.
Mercedes. I put all my marbles in George Russell's basket. But it hasn't. I mean, he's been showing some remarkable performance.
He has.
And so has his young teammate as well.
He has, yes.
But of course, McLaren has outstanding performance this year, and now I think these drivers are just about 9 points apart. Lando Norris is 9 points behind Oscar Piastri, and it's coming down to the wire. It is really, really coming on the wire. I hope. I mean, this season's already been so explosive.
Yes.
So bonus prediction, I want Norris to win now.
Oh yeah?
Yeah, I want him to win because I think he deserves it. He's been in the sport long enough. And now, fortunately or unfortunately, he's with this child prodigy in the shape of Oscar Piastri. He's like come out of nowhere and just like blitzing it. But like I said, that guy is actually like molded by the best to be the best. But yeah, I would want Norris to win. My prediction, let's just keep it at Norris for now. Yeah.
Okay.
Norris, take it, man. Come on.
Well, I'm more of an Oscar fan, so I will let you have your prediction. Although I would like to see Oscar win the championship this year. But I have an important question on George Russell. I know that his contract is not yet been renewed.
Yeah.
And like essentially Toto is playing with like a 1+1 contract because at some point he wants Max on his team. Do you think that George will take it? Like in this Mexican standoff, who do you think is going to blink first?
By now, I think most of the drivers' contracts have already been extended. I think the Mercedes drivers, their contracts have not. So both of them are kind of left out to dry a little bit. Maybe we're already 13 races in or whatever. It should have happened by now. And if it does not happen by this weekend, questions are going to be asked. Eyebrows are going to be raised. The rumor train is going to go all over the place. But I think it would be really, really silly for them to get rid of Russell and replace him with somebody else because Russell has been properly bred to perform at Mercedes, and if they don't let him and they cannot extract that potential championship from him in probably the next year, then I think it would be a waste of the resources that they have put into bringing Russell to this spot. If he goes to another team, he's going to be taking all that wealth of experience that he's gotten from Hammy and from Mercedes, and he's going to go and take and dump it into the next team. And the next team is going to be better off for getting Russell in their team.
So if you were Toto Wolff, would you offer more than a 1-year contract to George Russell?
More than a 1-year contract to George Russell?
Yeah.
I mean, I would take it. I would take it a year at a time. Probably 2026 is, it's a huge regulation change. We need to see.
Correct.
I think everybody's going to be playing a little safe over there and just see how exactly everything's going to pan out. But yeah, I would give it a year's extension and then, see it from there. I don't think George Russell wants to be anywhere else also. Because sure, Mercedes it's performing midfield, like I would say top tier midfield in the midfield pack, but that's not to say they are a factory team at the end of it.
Exactly.
So they have a lot of resources to come out next year with a banger of a car.
True. And I would trust their development over, like, say, Red Bull, who's never done that before.
Yeah. Red Bull is not a works team. Yeah, now they, of
Yeah.
course, they have their engine, and yeah, everything happens back at Milton Keynes in the UK. And they've also Red Bull. I don't know what to say, but I think their glory days are over because, like you said, Jonathan Wheatley and
Yes.
Adrian Newey, all those guys,
Yes.
all of those guys have left, including Christian Horner, and it feels
Yes.
like Max
Even-
is the only person who's holding that team together.
Yeah. Even their comms and marketing team got fired too. It's that bad.
Yeah. So
But yes.
Honda's pulled out as well.
Yes.
So I don't know. It's like the pieces of the puzzle are suddenly not pieces anymore.
Not piecing.
They're not piecing anymore.
They're not piecing
Uh,
anymore.
Yeah. So if Red Bull is on their back foot, then Mercedes is definitely
Yeah.
going to be there to pick up the pieces.
Sure. Yes, for sure.
But yeah, now you mentioning that, it means that Verstappen is hot property. Like it's like hot, like the hottest property on the market.
Correct.
Uh,
He's the pakoras on the rainy day, man. Everyone wants a bite.
yeah.
Yes. So no, that was a. Let's see how this all turns out. Honestly, I'm more invested in the gossip and the news at this point. But yes, we will keep everyone updated. This week is, of course, Zandvoort. So now we've prepared you. Make sure you go watch the race. And don't go anywhere because next week we have Monza, Italy, home of the Tifosi. And of course, I am bringing back the one fan who bleeds Ferrari red, Ashwati. So stay tuned for that. To our amazing listeners, what do you think? Drop your hot takes in the comments and send us a message or tag us in your wildest predictions. Don't forget to follow, subscribe, and share F101 with friends because this community is just getting started. If you have any queries or want to be a friend on the pod, please reach out to me on Instagram. The link is in the description. Special shout out, as always, to Ashwati and Kevin who support the podcast and also my mental health. Thank you, Sanjay, for coming back on this episode. I have been your host, Nisha, and we'll see you on the next episode of F101 with Friends.